So thanks so much for coming to the session this afternoon, everyone. My name's Izzy, and I work for an organisation called Into Film. You may have heard of us before or attended perhaps some of our free screenings or film festivals, or maybe this is your first time sort of encountering us. So I'll give a bit of a background as to what we do and how we support in schools before diving into all things screen industries. I can't see you guys right now, so if you have any questions, please do put your hand up, and Vanessa will kind of field the questions or put them in the chat, and Vanessa will then read them out to me. Very keen to kind of hear from you as the session unfolds. Don't feel like you have to sit there in silence. I very much want to be a conversation as much as possible. So a bit of an overview as to what we're going to be doing over the next sort of 45 minutes or so. We're going to look at the screen careers from a sorting fact from fiction perspective. So kind of doing a bit of myth busting around those common assumptions about roles in the screen industries that young people might have that might be sort of standing in their way from their dream career in film or TV. We're then going to have a bit of a look at the landscape of the screen industries, both UK-wide and in the Southwest, with a sort of a spotlight on our region, and also a bit of a spotlight on the kind of reality of the industry at the moment. We'll have a bit of a look at specific roles in the industries and the importance of supporting students to think about roles in the industries around their skills and interests, as well as their subject choices. And then we'll finish with some signposting to where to go for more information if what we've shared is of interest to you and your students. So quick overview of Interfilm and our Screen Careers programme specifically. So Interfilm are the UK's leading charity for film in education and the community. There are 3 strands to our programme. We support young filmmakers to realise their potential. We provide screen industry careers advice and guidance to careers leads, teachers and young people. And we bring the power of moving image into classroom teaching through our educator training. And you'll see some stats on the screen there as to the number of young people and educators that we've reached through our work. And Interfilm are a charity. We're funded by the BFI predominantly. And thanks to our funding, our offer is free for state schools and colleges and community settings. So if you're from one of those settings, everything that I'm sharing today is free of charge, which is lovely to be able to say, because it's so rare in education that things are free, and particularly things that support the sort of creative sector and creative subjects. So a little bit of kind of a summary as to what careers support we can offer your school or college or setting. If any of what I shared today is something that you want to know more about, or you'd like to book a further session for your school, for your young people, I'm the person to come to about that. My role is Southwest Programme Coordinator, so all of the activity that happens across the Southwest is usually delivered by myself. So my email is just at the bottom of the screen there. Please do note that down, and if anything is of interest, you want to know more, just drop me a line and I'll be more than happy to chat. So what can we offer schools and colleges around screen careers support? We offer workshops around screen careers. That's called our Switched On Screen Industry Careers Workshops. These are young person facing for age 11 plus. They give young people an idea of how the screen industries work, what pathways and pipelines they might follow, and also give a Southwest focused picture as well. So they've got some immediate local links that they can start to reach out to. Our industry careers workshops ideally would be done to large groups of young people. So for example, we might come into a school and deliver those workshops to all of Year 9 on a careers drop-down day, for example, or we can also do them as webinars for assemblies and for tutor times, etc., etc. We also offer industry encounters as part of these workshops. So if appropriate, if it's something that your school is interested in, we can bring along a local filmmaker to a workshop to do a Q&A with your students. It's really good for Gatsby benchmark meeting, and also gives young people that sort of face-to-face encounter with somebody in the industry. We also, as we're doing today, offer training on screen industry job roles and screen industry careers. So the session we're doing today, Get into Screen Industries, that's sort of like our level 1 training. We also have level 2 training, which is called Screen Careers Finding the Right Fit, where we drill down into individual roles in a bit more detail. Then finally, we have our film festivals. We have the Interfilm Festival and the Spring Screenings. Interfilm Festival happens in November. Spring Screenings happen in March. They are the collectively the biggest free children's film festivals in the UK. Essentially, cinemas across the UK open their doors for free for schools and colleges during our film festivals. Children from schools and colleges can come and watch films entirely free, have that big cinema, big screen experience. A lot of young people who come along to that are often going to the cinema for the first time, so it's really impactful, really meaningful. And we also include careers events as part of those screenings. So, for example, your young people might watch a film and then have a Q&A with the composer afterwards, or with somebody who works in the art department, just to kind of bring the careers angle to life through having watched the film, the finished product. So,
Isabel, before you go on,
yeah, of course,
Alex has a question. She's
go for
asked, she's wondering how long the Industry Encounters workshop is.
I mean, ideally we want an hour sort of minimum, and ideally we'd also want to be doing that session for like I say for a whole year group, or for just to get maximum impact. So we could do 3, 4 1-hour sessions in a day, for example, so that as many students as possible get the chance to have that exposure to someone in the industry.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so starting with a bit of discussion. I realise we're quite a small number, so do feel free to put in the chat or to unmute. I've sort of said the screen industries quite a few times. Just wondering what everyone kind of understands by that. What are the screen industries? What are we referring to when we say that?
I'm just going to talk because I'm assuming Kate might be typing. But my understanding for screen industries would be, I mean, I guess sort of any role that's related to anything sort of film, TV, commercial, marketing, anything around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Film and TV are definitely two departments that that come up as like sort of flagship screen industry areas. And I like what you sort of said about how there are probably roles that go across different areas of the industry. That is absolutely the case. I'll sort of go into more detail about this as we go on, but we often say to our young people that roles in the screen industries these days often involve having a portfolio career. So it's unlikely that you'll work in one department in one area of the screen industries for your whole career. You will have a set of skills and knowledge that you can apply across a range of roles and a range of departments. So let's have a little look then. So screen industries, referring to this as there's maybe the screen industries, sometimes referred to as the creative industries or the creator industries, and we break that down into film, television, visual effects, games, animation, broadcast engineering, and creative careers. A couple of sort of notes on some of those. So film, we would break that area of the industry down into documentary and fiction. Similar with TV, we'd break that down into scripted, so story-based, fiction-based, and unscripted, so more like your game shows, your factual shows. Visual effects, so with the brackets VFX, that refers to any kind of effects that are added to film or TV in post-production. So not so much talking about if kind of if you've got smoke being blown onto a set, or if you've got rain being rained onto a set, or if you've got some level of explosion being done on a set. That's what we call the special effects. Visual effects is anything added in that post-production stage. So, for example, if a Marvel character is shooting lightning out of their hand, that would be added by the VFX team. Broadcast engineering, we keep that kind of separate to television because of the live nature of it and because of the often sport-based nature of that form of television. And then creative careers, personally, I like to refer to that more as kind of creator careers, because creative is often the term that turns young people off of going into screen industries, because they think, well, I'm not really taking art, perhaps I'm not taking drama, I don't really like sort of drawing or set painting, and at that point they just think it's not for them. Whereas creator can refer to individuals who are building sets, to individuals who are designing lighting rigs or lighting layouts. It's a really, it makes it seem much more wide ranging, referring to it as the creator rather than creative. So a little bit of myth and tell. A report done by Eric recently found that young people and parents, and to some extent careers advisors as well, feel out of the loop when it comes to the screen industries. It feels like it's quite a hidden industry. We all know it's there because we all consume film and TV often on a daily basis, but it can feel quite mystical and quite hidden. And some misinformation or out-of-date information is often what puts young people off from pursuing a role in industry. So let's have a look at a few sort of statements or perceived facts about the industry, and do a bit of myth and tell, true or false. So first up, that's a sort of classic statement of it's not what you know, it's who you know. You need to know someone to help you get into industry. Do we think that's true or false?
Is it a bit of both?
Interesting, go on.
Well, Kate's gone half and half as well. It feels naive to think it's who you know, but it also feels deeply cynical to think it's only who you know.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it, and I know exactly what you're saying. We do a lot of work with young people about networking and about meeting your peer group and about meeting those people who you are going to be building your industry reputation with, and that is to some extent who you know, but that's not who you know in the traditional form of, oh, my uncle's a producer, he can get you on set. Oh, don't worry, I know, someone who I worked with, mum is in that costume department, she'll just get you in. So it's not so much about the name dropping and about the referring to individuals who higher up the ladder who you think can get you in. It's about building your peer group, building your network, and also building your reputation. We talk a lot about transferable 21st century skills when young people are looking to get into the screen industries, and it's about how people know you and what people know you for, and what's your reputation is within the industry. We also talk about the many pathways and pipelines to get into industry that do not involve that perception of having to know someone. So organizations such as BFI Film Academy, National Film and Television School, and Screen Skills have amazing tools on their websites to help young people learn more about the industry. Screen Skills in particular breaks down every role you could possibly think of in the screen industries into what the day-to-day might look like, what you might have needed to have studied, what transferable skills you'll need, where to look for sort of job adverts and work experience and internships. So signposting young people to those is a great way of showing them, no, you can find this information out yourself. It is there at your fingertips. You just need to know where to go. Companies, big name companies like Netflix and Disney and Amazon Prime have amazing new entrant schemes. Quite cleverly, in a way, these new entrant schemes are not sort of broadly what's the word I'm looking for? They're not kind of displayed across their websites really visibly. You have to do a few clicks and a bit of searching to find them. That's deliberate because they want people who are really driven and who are specifically looking for their entrance schemes to find their way to them. So that's a really good sort of big name development opportunities. And then other apps such as Eric, which is where we get a lot of our sort of stats and info from it into film. TV Watercooler and Production Guild are also great places to go to find information. So the information is out there. It's not hidden. It's not sort of the preserve of a small group, and directing young people to that can be really empowering. Next one that comes up a lot: you must live in London to get a job in the screen industries. What do we think about that one?
Yeah, I would say that's false. There's lots going on in Bristol.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad to hear you say that that's false. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The screen industries are everywhere. In pretty much every major city, there is a form of film or TV production happening. And big name sort of channels and organisations such as BBC and Channel 4 are committed to spending half their budget outside of London. So wherever your students are based, there is likely to be activity in the industries nearby. It's also the case that there are roles in the industry that can be done remotely these days as well, thanks to technology development. So it's not, your students don't necessarily have to be looking for on-set in-person roles within the industries. There are also remote options, which makes it much more accessible, particularly for perhaps more sort of rural or removed locations. And this is one that comes up amongst parents' concerns quite a lot, that sort of perception that careers in the screen industries aren't sustainable. So you might have a job one day and not have a job the next, or not never quite sort of get your foot in the door. So yeah, thoughts on that one.
I'd say definitely false.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that for that one. Absolutely. The screen industries are so innovative and they are ever changing. So individuals in the industry do have to be very up to date, aware of new technologies, keen to pick up new skills, stay ahead of the curve, always be ready to develop and diversify their portfolio. But for those in the industries, that is part of the appeal. That feeling of being at the forefront is really exciting. And like we said at the start, the main way for students to sort of visualize this or to approach this is that idea of having a portfolio style career, that they'll have skills and knowledge which can be applied to a range of roles across the industries, which will help them to stay relevant and continue picking up new skills and moving fluidly into different departments and different sectors, thanks to the diversity of the roles and skills that they have. Next one, you must study film at university to work in the screen industries. Thoughts about this one?
False.
Absolutely, yeah. This is something we get asked a lot: is what do I need to study in order to work in film or TV? And we'll go into this in a bit more detail a bit later on. But the honest answer is there really isn't a single subject that I can think of and that has come up in sessions that doesn't link to a role in the industry somewhere. So whatever you choose to study or don't choose to study, you're not shutting any doors to the industry. And students, although what you're studying is important, also worth bearing in mind that skills, interests, and passions can also be a gateway into the industry. So students interested in sport can look at sport programming. Students who are very handy and maybe are looking into getting into carpentry, sort of product and tech, D&T, that could be so applicable to building props and set designs. If they're into physics and electricity, they could join the lighting team, they could be a gaffer. If they are really organised, if they're on a lot of student committees, if they've organised the Year 11 prom, for example, those skills that they have used there would be perfect for a production or a location manager. So once you start sort of teasing out what skills are applicable to each role, it helps students to see just the vast range of opportunities that are on offer to them within the industry. And then the other statement we get that gets sort of brought up a lot is, oh, but surely there aren't many jobs in the screen industries. So what I thought we could do is have a quick look at some production numbers for recently filmed TV, film and game productions. So first one is, how many people do we think worked on the incredibly popular Heartstopper series? 57, 112, 217, or 400? Just pop in the chat or shout them out at me. I can't see this. I can't see the chat, so I don't know if anything has been put in.
Okay, so we've got Two of us are plumped for 400 and two for 217.
Okay, let's have a look. Oh, it hasn't. It's gone back the other way for me. It's not revealing the number. That's so frustrating. Oh, we're going to be kept in suspense. Oh my goodness. So for the Heartstopper, it was 217. And the idea behind this is to just emphasize that productions are epic projects involving such a wide range of skills. And it's it's really important to sort of emphasize to young people that productions have such a range of departments, that there are so many opportunities within those departments for them to be involved with. I mean, just to give a sense of location as well, Heartstopper was filmed across Buckingham, Berkshire, Kent, and at Twickenham Studios, so a range of locations with a range of opportunities. So next one, how many people worked on The Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists, a very popular Aardman production?
We have all plumped for 460 this time.
Oh, okay, it's closer, 320. And a really interesting fact about that production is that actual animators only made up about 10% of the crew, which just goes to show, even in a very sort of skill-specific film like Pirates and Adventure with Scientists, and in studios such as Aardman, which is focused on stop motion, there are still so many skills and roles that are needed to pull a film together. And that film also took around 5 years to make, so it just shows how long some projects can be. And this one, how many people worked on the game Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga?
Okay, we've gone for 450.
Nice. Yeah, so that one, you're right, 450. And it's really, I feel like it's really important to include games in the conversation about screen industries, because the UK is really racing ahead when it comes to games development. For example, the Skywalker Saga was developed in Cheshire, Brighton, and Maidenhead, so really sort of wide range of locations. And the UK sort of games sector is contributing around 3.68 billion to UK GDP. So really huge part of the industry that can be applied and be fluid amongst different aspects of the screen industries as well. I think this is our last how many people. How many people worked on the Harry Potter series? So this is from Philosopher's Stone all the way up to the second what's the one? Oh, it's the final one, Deathly Hallows in total.
So far, we've got a 10,000, two 7,000s, and a 5,500.
Amazing. So yeah, overall on the Harry Potter series, there's 10,000 people. Some people credit Harry Potter with almost not, if not starting, then certainly sort of amplifying the special effects industry side of the industry in the UK. because Harry Potter ran for a decade, the studios, the producers ran apprenticeship schemes, so young people could start as runners or trainees and build their way up. And as we know, the series was filmed across the UK, in Gloucester Cathedral, in Chippenham, in Seven Sisters, County Park. There's such a wide range of locations that's got the benefits of the Harry Potter series coming their way. So hopefully that has given a bit of an idea of just how how many people are needed to make a whole different sort of range of productions. So what I thought we could do now is have a little look at the sort of full picture of the screen industries at the moment, both in the UK and then also in the Southwest. So in terms of the industry landscape at the moment, there's around 200,000 people in the film workforce in the UK and around 50,000 in the games side of the industry. And a really nice fact that our careers lead sort of brought up for us the other day is that the creative industries bring more to the economy than aerospace, life science, automotive and oil and gas combined. So that really shows what a vital industry is for the UK economy. And announced by the Culture Secretary, not necessarily yet feeling the effects of, but hopefully to be sort of distributed as over the coming years, a 60 million package of support to drive growth in the screen industries across the UK, with a focus on sort of game, music, film, and that creative side outside of London. So that's sort of I think that gives us quite a positive picture for the future of the screen industries over the next 3 years or so. There's also been, thanks to, not to bring it into the room, but thanks to COVID and thanks to the writer strikes in recent years, there's a bit of a skills shortage in certain areas across the UK. So if young people are looking to get into industry quickly, or looking for a way in which is a bit more guaranteed, and where production companies are going to be crying out for staff and for crew, these are some of the areas that it's recommended they look into. And Screen Skills has a brilliant breakdown of each of these roles and suggestions on pathways and pipelines into them as well. So we recommend showing that to young people if they're thinking about roles to go into. And we don't want to paint a picture that it's all rosy or that it's all perfect. We want to give a realistic picture of the industry for yourselves and for your young people. So some sort of challenges, peaks and troughs that the industry has been sort of going through in recent years. Reports show that the percentage of entrants coming into the industry from working class backgrounds has moved backwards. A couple of reasons that this could be because the creative curriculum, owing to pressures on schools and funding of recent governments, the creative curriculum has perhaps become less valued, and therefore creator job roles have been sort of less spoken about and not so prioritised. Also important to kind of highlight to young people that often work in the industry is freelance. About 50% of roles are freelance in film and TV production. So if a young person is facing socioeconomic disadvantage or challenges, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to have low income or perhaps no income whilst they find their feet in the industry, and therefore working freelance isn't necessarily a viable option for them. We have some really good resources on how to be freelance, how to manage your money, how to write a CV, how to promote yourself within the industries, which are really worth showing to your students. And I'll make sure those are sent out after the session today. And then some more points to kind of be aware of. There's, interestingly, within games and VFX, there's a more even spread of socioeconomic backgrounds. This is possibly because games and VFX roles tend to be much more sort of contract based. So you are working with an organisation with a permanent contract, and the work comes to you through that, as opposed to you going out to find the work. So that makes it possibly a more realistic area to go into if a young person is facing sort of socioeconomic difficulty. And there also is more development that needs to be done around inclusivity, particularly with disability and neurodivergence. Most sets and production studios will now have what's called an access coordinator, which is essentially like a Senko for the production, who will work on increasing support and ensuring that that access and inclusivity is at the forefront of what the production studio is doing. There's also some really good groups of neurodivergent filmmakers springing up around the country, where they sort of share their experiences, what's worked well for them, what they would need support with, and just network with kind of like-minded filmmakers going through a similar experience. And a bit like we said earlier, that you need to know someone kind of assertion, that is prevalent. It is a hard one to overcome. But a nice way to kind of put that now is, okay, if your young people feel like they need to know someone, you can say, well, you now know Into Film, because we are part of this pipeline that can take young people from their interests and their skills and their sort of filmmaking grassroots to encounters with the industry, to networking opportunities and experiences and information, which will hopefully help propel them to the career that they are looking for. So what's been going on in the Southwest in recent years? So just on the screen here, we've got a few examples of some of the film and TV that's been shot in our region in the last 10 years or so. And as you can see, it's a massive range. We've got perhaps more kind of sort of small localized things such as Poldark, shot in Cornwall. You've got Wolf Hall, which I think was shot in pretty much every stately home across the Southwest. Then you've got Les Mis, which was shot in Bath. Bridgerton, also shot in Bath and stately homes around in the region. Doctor Who, shot just over the bridge in Cardiff. It's just, the range is just fantastic to see, and this just, like I say, highlights what a magnet the Southwest is for film and TV production. We also have the Bottle Yard Studios, which is the biggest production studio in the Southwest. They've also recently launched a really interesting platform that I would recommend yourselves and young people signing up to. It's called All Set West, and it's designed to be the central hub for filmmaking activity, training, opportunities, places to put your CV, places to connect, places to do crew call outs in the Southwest. So All Set West, really worth signing up for. And then if you have young people who are interested in exploring what's going on in the region currently, what we've got on the screen here is a really good breakdown of some of the hubs that are very much alive, well, and busy in the region. And I've kind of gone right from Gloucestershire all the way down to Cornwall here, because I want to show the spread of what's on offer in the Southwest. One to highlight on here is the SWIF Digest. This stands for Southwest Independent Film Digest. It is a platform that sends out emails on a bi-weekly basis, highlighting all the film activity that's going on in the area, from meetups to kit fixing opportunities, to workshops, to film festivals, to competitions. And it's really heartening to get that email in your inbox every 2 weeks and just see how much is going on and the opportunities that there are for like-minded people in the industry to connect. So really recommend your young people and yourselves signing up to that one. And then it's always nice to give a bit of tangible examples of production companies, studios and organisations in the Southwest that are hiring, that are creating, that are thriving. So you've got, Aardman has to come to mind straight away, because it's such a kind of flagship so production studio in the region. But then you also have the regional film offices. I would really recommend young people considering getting in touch with those to find out what's coming up in the area in terms of filming, if there's any crew call outs within the area, sort of local crew call outs. And then you have your more sort of content creation organisations like Complete Control and Plimsoll Productions, that not only focus on TV, but also focus on producing for YouTube as well. So again, that sort of transferable, fluid nature of the industry can be applied to different platforms there. Before we go into a bit more depth about roles in the industry, are there any questions or comments or clarifications that I can give? I realise it's a lot of information to be given in one go. So just so I do a little pause and just see if there's any questions or thoughts that I can help with.
Doesn't seem to be anything, Isabel. I think we're okay.
Lovely, lovely. I will crack on then. No problem. So, roles in the screen industry. So we've talked about the different sort of areas of the industry. Maybe let's drill down a little bit more into specific roles. So perhaps pop in the chat or just unmute and shout out what roles in the industry, in the screen industries, are you already aware of or already know about?
Cameraman.
Mhm.
Sound technicians of all sorts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Lighting operatives.
Yeah, yeah, and the gaffer, the head of the lighting department,
Script writers.
Director.
script writers,
Director of
directors.
photography.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. I mean, yeah. So clearly, like, I felt once you start having these conversations about roles, and one role often leads to another as you start speaking about them, which again just goes to show the range of roles that are on offer. So what I thought we could do is watch this quick video. It's a bit rapid, but it's quite a nice rapid insight or visualization as to the range of roles that exist within the sector. So whilst you're watching it, perhaps just be observing job roles that you're already aware of, and perhaps any job roles in the industry that you weren't necessarily aware of, or didn't know were a part of making a film or TV production. So let's have a quick watch.
Kate, our sound is now not working again.
Is the sound working?
Nope, it's not working again.
Oh,
So I
hang
don't
on
know
a
if because
second.
we went out and in again.
Let's go from the beginning then. Here we go.
The BAFTA goes to...
If it's
How's that?
Oh, that's working now.
Lovely.
your name in that envelope, who do you thank? Well, you thank the producer, thank the director, thank the person that runs the projector, thank the coders, thank the clapperboard loaders, and shout out to the artists that made the ogres. Thank the script writers, the crowd exciters, and the mood lighters. Thank your agent, thank this agent, maybe not this agent. And don't forget to thank the runners, the set builders, the lunch makers, and the punch bakers. Thank the boom operator, the kaboom operator. Thank your parents, thank your partner, thank your brothers. Thank the person who filmed the gorillas, thank the person who played the gorillas. Thank the rig makers, wig makers, hair, makeup, and wardrobe for providing the hats. Thank the people who pulled these strings, and your heartstrings. Thank the person who yelled,
Action!
the actor who didn't make the cut, and everyone else in the credits who rarely gets a mention. There's a lot of people behind every BAFTA. You could be one of them.
So just a really nice sort of summary visualization there of the army of people that go into making a film or TV production. So what we've got here is a bit of an infographic that splits careers and job roles in the industry. Specifically more in film or TV here, I would say, into different departments. And it's quite a nice way of summarising the different roles available and helping young people to think about where their skills and interests might best fit. So if they are interested in sort of being hands-on, being practical, being face-to-face, they don't want to be sitting behind a laptop all day necessarily, then you might suggest they need to look into the craft side of a production and into the craft department, or the technical side of film or TV. So the sound, the lighting, the grip, that sort of thing. If they're interested in organisation, in management, in people management, in time management, then they might be interested in eventually going into production management, using those organisation skills and that ability to see a project through from sort of start to end. If they are particularly money-minded, if they're particularly sort of maths or economics or business focused, then sales and distribution might be a good place for them to explore. And similarly, if they are interested in coding, in tech, if they're particularly skilled on a computer at creating visuals, at graphic creation, for example, then post-production might be a good place for them. So it's just another kind of tool or approach you can use when talking to young people about roles in the industry. And it's quite a nice visualization of the stages the film goes through in order to be made as well. It sort of highlights departments that perhaps you don't always kind of have much of a thought about. And then just another way of visualizing it as a flow diagram from the development side down to the sales and distribution side. And this is just a clip from a handy resource that we have. The idea of this resource is a bit like I said earlier, is to connect every subject that a young person might take at GCSE to a role in the screen industries. And again, it's just a really nice, really useful to have to hand when having a conversation with young people about the different roles available to them, and to really visualize that. That's the point that I shared earlier, which is there isn't really a subject that you can take that closes doors to a role in the industry, particularly if you're also working on those 21st century transferable skills as well. I mean, for example, I would never have thought of geography as being linked to the industry, to screen industries, but locations manager, environment artist, researchers, designers, all linking to those geographical skills and that geographical knowledge. I mean, similarly, languages wouldn't necessarily automatically link to a role in industry, but if so many productions are filmed in multiple countries now, so you'll need translators, you'll need local researchers, subtitlers, particularly with accessibility in mind, language creators. I mean, thinking about Lord of the Rings or Star Wars and the languages that the characters speak there, they're not. They're created languages. Someone with an understanding of linguistics would need to have created those languages. So that's an interesting role that doesn't always get connected to the industry. So I'll make sure that this is sent on as well, so that you can have a look through this. And you can see that each of these are also links. So if you're looking at this digitally, you can then click on the job role, and it takes you to an explanation of what the role involves. And we've talked about
yeah, go for it as well, because Alex has just said that these 2 slides would make a fantastic display.
Oh, that's really good to know. I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, if display is something that that you're interested in as well, we also have some fantastic posters, which are sort of like a bird's eye view of different departments in the industry. So we have one that's like a bird's eye view of an editor's office with different people doing different roles, and little descriptions next to them as to what they're doing. There may be a bird's eye view of a set where action is being filmed, and different people doing different roles and descriptions of what they're up to. And that's a nice way of visualizing who's playing what part in the production of a bit of film or TV. So I'll also make sure that those get linked as well. In fact, when I finished, I'll pop them in the chat so you've got them to hand there. So like we said, really good way to talk to students is subject focused, sure, but also that skills and interest side of things, because really want to emphasize that the screen industries aren't just for film, art, media graduates. So I am a little bit conscious of time. Vanessa, what time is it now?
It is 10 to 5.
10 to 5. Okay, I think we'll be fine then. So what we have to kind of highlight this to students is a series of videos, which are interviews with people in the industry, explaining how they got into their role, what their role involves on a day-to-day basis, but also what skills they use on a day-to-day basis as well. So the next clip I'm going to show is of a screen industry professional sharing their journey into industry. Really kind of highlights the kind of portfolio career side of things, which is super useful. And if you are watching this with young people or using this to prompt discussion with young people, you might ask them to note down what job specific skills she's referring to, what transferable skills she's using in her day-to-day, and perhaps what her journey into her current role was, and what decisions she took along the way to get her there. So I will play the video quickly for us, and you can just can see how you could perhaps use this with your young people.
So I didn't decide to be an editor or an assistant editor because, as far as I could see, it was sort of sitting by myself. I decided that I wanted to be in the film industry, went to film school, but I was never attracted to editing. Didn't seem particularly glamorous, it didn't seem particularly fun. Gravitated towards production and working on set and working with cameras, and that's what I initially trained in. And it turns out that was not for me. Being on set in the cold rain, not for me. And what I really, really like is sitting in a room by myself with a problem, with a puzzle to solve, and working the problem until it's done. That's why editing was for me. And my advice to anyone who's trying to work out where they might fit or what discipline or skill set is really just to listen to yourself and get to know yourself. Because if you listen to yourself, you'll end up in the right place. You'll end up in a career or a job that you enjoy and that works for you and works for your brain. And when I was 16, 17, 18, I was not at all listening to that voice. And so I tried out a lot of different disciplines and I had a lot of fun trying them out. And I recommend everyone tries, if you're not sure about what department you might want to be in, definitely try them out. But you can't go wrong if you just listen to that inner voice and stay true to that. My top tips for getting started in my field, which is editing, is talk to editors. Watch a lot of films, TV, look on the credits for who is editing it, who's in the teams, how many people there are, who makes up the team, and try and reach out to people who are making content that you really like. That doesn't have to be just constrained to film or TV, that could be anything, broadcast television, sport, like anything. And then ask them questions. How did they get started? What's their working day like? Why do they like their jobs? With editing in particular, it's something, unlike other disciplines in the film industry, that you can start doing. You can start doing now. You probably have a smartphone, probably have a laptop. It probably has some editing software on there, or you can definitely download some editing software for free. So it's one of the few disciplines that you can start testing out and seeing if it's something that you enjoy and take it from there.
One of the things I particularly like about that video is the kind of message of start experimenting with skills and interests now. We did a encounter at Yeovil College with an Ardman director for some of their young people, and that was one of his main messages to the young people as well, was don't wait for your teacher, your parent, your work experience supervisor to tell you to start having a go. You don't need to be creating or experimenting for anyone apart from to develop your own skill set. And I think that motivation can sometimes be hard to convey to young people, but then hearing it from someone in industry and saying that that's how they sort of further themselves and explore what they're interested in and sort of develop their skills is a really nice message to be able to give. So what I thought we could do just for the last couple of minutes is have a look at how at some entry-level film and TV roles. We'll have a look at the sort of day-to-day responsibilities of this particular role, and then as a group, perhaps identify the kind of skills, interests, and maybe subjects that a young person might need to have or to have taken in order to move into this kind of role. So if we start with casting assistant, so in this entry-level role, a young person would be helping to draw up lists of potential actors, liaising with agents, checking availability, calendarizing, talking about fees and money and payments and invoices, supporting with screen tests, and being on it with the office admin. So if those are the responsibilities, what would kind of the skills, interests, and perhaps subjects that they taken be that a young person might have? Just shout them out or put them in the chat. Either's fine.
I feel like you'd have to be pretty confident to be, and a lot of young people I know struggle with calling people on the phone. Having conversations. So I think to be able to converse with several agents and talk money, which stereotypically British people aren't great at, I think you'd have to be pretty confident. So obvious, but maybe drama, maybe business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that point about being able to speak to people is so key. Like the oracy side of things just couldn't be more pertinent, particularly when we're talking about roles like this. Interestingly, I had a conversation with a year 10 student a little while ago who had chosen drama. And she said that one of the main reasons she had taken it was to develop her speaking and presentation skills. And I thought that foresight was just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, absolutely. So with business, confident in talking to people in more senior positions than them. Let's have a look at some of the others. So yeah, exactly like you said, that networking, that communication. So basic camera and editing skills. If you're supporting a screen test, you're probably having to upload the final test to folders and to organize them properly. Being computer literate for the office admin, able to work in a team, able to be responsive, all skills that would come in useful for this kind of role. So let's have a look at another one. So a locations trainee. So responsibilities of this entry level role. So you'd be on set, supporting with the day-to-day running of the set and the site. Might be directing parking, handling petty cash, making sure that vans are stocked with sort of food, water, anything else that might be needed, supporting with paperwork, perhaps health and safety or risk assessment paperwork, and being able to help with the setup at the start of the day and the takedown at the end of the day as well. So any subjects that come to mind, or skills and interests that might be useful for a locations trainee.
I guess in terms of skills, good organizational skills and good communication as well.
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
organizing lots of different things, you're going to be speaking to, different suppliers or companies or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like communication really comes through in most of these, doesn't it? It's such a key skill to be able to make yourself heard and understood to a wide range of people, not just necessarily to your peers.
I'm really unsure about like what subject specifically might be associated, but just being the kind of person that will just get stuck in and not be like, oh, that's not my job.
Yes, yeah, completely. But yeah, being open to doing a range of roles, seeing the solution where there's a problem as well, and not waiting to be told. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of subjects, a location team in general would likely be doing a lot of travel, have to have a lot of knowledge, will be able to quickly acquire knowledge about a place or location and environment. Be able to sort of visualize what the sets or the setup could look like there. So studies such as geography, photography, maybe architecture, perhaps history for more historical sites could all be useful for a locations trainee to have studied. Like we said, communication really key. Being happy being outside. So some kind of environmental interest, perhaps they've done their DV and they've enjoyed the hike side of that. Those sorts of things really helpful when it comes to locations.
Now, it sounds like the kind of role that's ideal for those young people who really chafe with a school environment, and that kind of sitting still at a desk doesn't suit them. But the minute you take them out on a school trip or residential, they absolutely flourish. It sounds like their kind of job.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Yeah, completely. And the young people who are perhaps in like the gardening club or that sort of thing is completely of interest to them for sure. Yeah, the outdoors is their happy place in this role. Now I'm conscious of time, so I think I will skip this last one, which was about camera trainees, and just finish with a where to go next, because I want to make sure that everyone leaves this feeling like they're equipped to do more research, learn more, and talk with their students about this. So it's places to get information. Eric is an amazing app. It's got internships on there. It's got training on there. It's got free courses. It's got how to write your CV. It's split nicely into, are you a young person? Are you a school or university? Are you a company? So I'd really recommend exploring that. Screen Skills is my personal favorite for where to go for more information, because it's educator friendly, but it's also young person friendly. So it's a really great place to direct your young people to if they want to just deep dive into the huge number of roles that go into producing, well, anything within the screen industries. Screen Skills also has a Southwest specific page as well. Like they have regional content, and on their regional content is where they highlight what's coming up in the area. So useful for that bigger picture, useful for the Southwest picture as well. Then we have Discover Creative Careers, who I think are doing a bit of a publicity drive at the moment because they seem to be appearing on bus stop adverts, certainly around Bristol. So similarly, that breaks down the different creative careers the young person could take. Also has resources for teachers and careers leaders, so really nicely split up. And this is a nice one to direct young people to if they're interested in that more creator and portfolio career side of the industries. And I have to highlight what we have on offer as well. So at Interfilm, we have a huge range of industry career resources. We also have our educator hub, and we have our young person facing social media as well. Links to our social media are just on the screen now. So our social media for educators is interfilm_edu, and then our social media for young people is called Get Into Film. So two different facing resources there. And then final bits to share. This is more for sort of the teaching side of things, but we do have an amazing free streaming service for schools. All you need in order to access this is a public video screening license, which costs about £120 per school. Once you've got that, you'll have access to over 800 films, documentaries, youth-made shorts for free, which you can use in your teaching for sort of end of year screenings, for film clubs. It's a really versatile resource. Won't show you the advert though. This is just highlighting our online courses. Sorry, I know I'm rushing through, but I am conscious of time, and it is the first week back, so I want everyone to be able to get off and have a relaxing evening. So we have our online courses, which are free for you to access at any time. All you need to access them is an Interfilm account. And we also have further training on how to embed film into your day-to-day teaching. We can come into schools to do this, or we can set up online webinars. Our training ranges from how to teach literacy through film, teaching Shakespeare through film, animation, filmmaking as a curricular and assessment tool, film and well-being. It's a really wide-ranging catalogue, and all you need to do to access that is to email myself, and we can discuss what might be appropriate for your school. So after talking a million miles an hour, here is a link to all of the resources that we've talked about in the session today. So you can scan the QR code, or I can copy and paste the link into the chat, and then everything that we've discussed will be on hand for you to access. And I'm also just going to pop a quick feedback form into the chat as well, because it's so useful to get feedback on these sessions that we do, because we're a charity. Feedback really fuels our offer, makes sure that what we're doing is right for you, and is helping and supporting as much as it can. So on that note, I'm going to stop sharing and come back to the space, and I'm going to really quickly start popping those links in the chat. So give me a second whilst I do that, and then we can all head off and have a lovely evening. Just 30 seconds to find those. I realise I'm keeping people here whilst I'm clicking around. So what I'll do is, Vanessa, maybe I'll send the links to you, and you could then forward them out to the network.
Fine, I'll do
that's
that.
more productive than everyone watching me skimming across the screen.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Really, really helpful. Thank you.
Oh no, you're welcome. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it was useful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely, no problem. Yeah, have lovely evenings, everyone. And if want to know any more, just get in touch, use my email, and we can chat about what else we can offer.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Bye.